So what's up, people, and welcome to the Mission 62 Part 1 discussion of Spy Family. So Mission 62 Part 1 came out a few days ago, and as always, I will leave a link to this mission that's currently being shown on the publisher's official website, Manga Plus, for free to the North American audience. So if you're interested, yeah, go take a look at it. Okay, so Mission 62 Part 1. This was very interesting. As you know, these past few missions, ever since the closing of the Yor versus the Assassins arc, have been relatively calm and somewhat lighthearted. They haven't focused too much on Operation Strix, and much of it was focused around many characters that didn't involve the major family. However, Mission 62 Part 1 brings us back to a little bit of the more serious side of Spy Family. And the seriousness revolves around a flashback, probably the first major flashback for the series that talks about Lloyd's background, what he was like as a child. And this is very interesting because not only does this help set up the story for understanding the tension between the West and the East, but it also sets up the personality of Lloid. Why did he become a spy in the first place? It seems like Tatsuya Endo is setting this series up for a much more serious sort of situation in the future based on what we see in this part of the mission. So the original part of the mission is relatively wholesome. We start understanding what Lloid was like when he was young. And it turns out that he almost was born to be a spy. He's very cunning. And it seems like whenever he played spy games with many of his friends, his strategies turned out to be really good and he would always come out as the victor. But what we also find out is that there has been a tension that's been going on between him and his father. And because of this tension, Lloid is unable to receive the toys that are necessary to really be able to play these spy games with his friends. And so as much as he's able to come out a victor, he often gets ridiculed because he has to make these makeshift sort of guns and rubber band sort of pistols because his father is unwilling to buy him the toys that will give him the ability to play these spy games. And as we continue on with this mission, we find that this tension continues to build up because of the fact that Lloid finds these spy games to be very exciting because he can, of course, interact with his friends that way. But this creates this major tension between the father and the son. And when Lloid tells his father that it's appropriate to play spy games because the people in the East are very evil people, his father returns his comment with a slap in the face. Now, what we find out from this mission is that it's not that his father was abusive to Lloid, it's just that he had a very headstrong difference in opinion with Lloid. From what we can find out in this chapter, his father was very much against any sort of confrontation between the West and the East, and he was hoping there may be a peace that can come from the two countries. He was very angry at Lloid for making judgment that the East was evil without any proof that it would be, and those sorts of comments seriously angered his father. However, Lloid, being the headstrong child that he was, and because of his interactions with his friends, he kept on thinking that he was correct. And because of the confrontation between his father and the continuous ridicule that he gets from his friends because he doesn't have the proper toys to play spy, he eventually ends up lying to his father, saying that he needs money for study material when he actually wants to spend it to get those toys. And this is when you find out that, again, his father is not really abusive to his son. It's just that he has a difference in opinion. Because when Lloid tells his father that he needs money for studying, his father becomes extremely happy with Lloid and supports him as much as he can by giving him whatever money he needs without any question. Of course, this then puts Lloid in a very guilty position because he understands that not only did he lie to his father, but he lied to his father for the sole purpose of doing something that his father absolutely believed against. And this bothered him a lot. He did go buy those toys, but after he bought the toys, he felt so much guilt over the situation that he decided to see if he can earn the money back by working odd jobs and eventually apologize to his father. And of course, there is always a plot twist. And because this is a setup for understanding the confrontation between the East and the West, we find that this part of the chapter ends with Astania invading Westalia. Now, we don't know what happens in the future, and we'll have to see what will happen in part 2. But considering the fact that Lloid lied to his father is extremely happy with Lloid right now. Lloid is feeling very guilty. This sets up a tremendous death flag on top of his father. There is a good possibility that Lloid will never be able to apologize and make amends to his father if his father gets killed in the oncoming confrontation between the East and the West. And if that's the case, you can understand why then Lloid became extremely headstrong in becoming a spy for the WISE organization. It's hard to say. We'll have to see how this turns out, but we know that it's not going to turn out well. Because if you recall in chapter 1, his flashback in that chapter showed him being orphaned and left in a devastated city. And if that's the case, then you know that things are not going to go well in the future chapters. And the other information that we recall from chapter 1, or mission 1, was that the reason Lloid said he wanted to become a spy in the first place was so that he could create a world where children did not have to cry. In which case, of course, once again, there must have been an extremely traumatic experience that happened in his past. And from everything we can see, this situation is from this very confrontation between Astania and Westalia. So this flashback seems to be setting up Lloyd's character. Why did Lloid become such a cold-hearted spy in the first place? And of course, while we've been watching these chapters go along, we see that Lloid has changed from that cold, calculating spy to a somewhat warmer persona. We saw that when Agent Nightfall said Lloid has changed, and we could see it ourselves as we watched the chapters. And you could understand that as well because of the fact that if Lloid did not have a really strong family because he was orphaned when he was young, then he would cherish the family that he has right now, even if it's not a true family. And it will be interesting to see how his viewpoint with regards to Ostania changes. Because as much as he might have a serious hate for the country, he is right now a resident of Ostania. And what's ironic is although he is a spy from Westalia, Yor and Anya are citizens of Ostania. So how will their interaction change his character will be very, very interesting to see. Tatsuya Endo is setting up a very interesting scenario with regards to Lloyd's inner confrontation and inner persona. And it'll be interesting to see how he takes this from the flashback, and then from the flashback, how he will grow this character in the future. So I am looking forward to seeing what happens in the second part of this mission. And once it comes out, I'll bring out another video and hope you join me at that time. But that is the Mission 62 Part 1 discussion for Spy Family. Thank you very much for listening. And until the next episode, happy manga reading. And as always, Jaya, nice day, everyone.